Hey guys, it's Wayne Santos, one of the editors over at CGM, and this week for Sound Off, let's talk about Watch Dogs, shall we? Yes, Watch Dogs, the game by Ubisoft, it was supposed to be simultaneously coming out on current and next generation consoles, but recent news has now made it out that it's going to be pushed back to next spring. Okay, see, now this is very, very strange. It's like, on the one hand, like, check this out, Jimmy Fallon showing off the game on late night television. So at that point, Ubisoft was confident enough about the game that they wanted to show it on American national television. You combine that with the fact that they had actually teamed up with Sony to release a Watch Dogs launch bundle for the PS4, and it just suddenly becomes very, very strange why they're saying, no, we're going to release this in spring instead. Now, the official story from Ubisoft over why they wanted to do this is because they felt that the game needed more polish and they want to give it the time that it deserves so that they can release it in a pristine quality polished condition that it's like is worthy, I guess, of like being the next gen title, even though it's also supposed to be coming out on current generation consoles, and those have also been moved away to match up with the next gen console launch. So that's the official story. They need time to polish. Now, what I'm about to say next is not based on any inside sources or anything like that. This is just pure speculation on my part, but I suspect that the reasons for the delay are probably motivated more by finance and business rather than any need to make the game as good as it possibly can be. It's like, don't get me wrong, I understand how difficult these games are, and I know that from a development perspective, the development team is always going to ask for more time because there is always going to be stuff that they can tweak and improve and polish. It's just usually when that release deadline is looming, the publisher is going to say, no, this is our deadline, it's locked, so you have to get it out. So, what happened here with Watch Dogs to change the story of the release? My theory is it comes down to the investors. It's like the investors themselves, they really only care about it's like the big numbers for sales, and they don't necessarily pay attention to the intricacies of which titles are hot and which titles are not. All they know is in November, Call of Duty comes out and annihilates all of the competition, and Watch Dogs was supposed to be coming out in November. So they would have been terrified that, like many other games before it, it would get steamrolled under Call of Duty. Of course, in Ubisoft's case, it's slightly different because they have proven that they can release a game in the same window as Call of Duty and have that game survive and prosper. And this is where the other problem comes in. That is the Assassin's Creed series, which is also an annual release. So I can see how, from an investor perspective, it would be one thing to say, it's like, don't worry, we'll be able to hold our own against Call of Duty. It's a first-person shooter and we're an open world game. But Watch Dogs would already be going up against Assassin's Creed, which is an established Ubisoft brand, which is also an open world game, as I'm sure many of you are aware. So that would mean that Watch Dogs, a brand new IP with like absolutely no reason for people to get behind it aside from positive initial word of mouth, is going up against an established Ubisoft brand and is going up against Call of Duty. I can see how that would make investors very, very nervous, and they would say we want to maximize our returns. So give this thing some room to breathe. I'm not sure that I necessarily agree with this, especially when you're looking at it from the point of view of a hardcore gamer. It's like most of the hardcore gamers are actually excited about Watch Dogs. It's like it's new, it's promising that we'll actually be able to do some very different things within an open world context. As far as I know, this is the first game that actually promises wide-scale hacking of an entire city. It's like I don't think that any other game has given you this much potential, but Watch Dogs is supposed to be doing that. And now we as hardcore gamers have been denied that, at least until spring. So I'm not real happy about this. I've played Assassin's Creed. I don't have anything against the series, but frankly, I'm feeling a little burned out at this point. So if it were my call, and it's not, I probably would have said, let's just let Watch Dogs get out there at launch because it's a highly desired launch title and it's one that will attract the hardcore gamers. And the hardcore gamers are the ones that you want to get on board because it's their word of mouth that eventually has an influence on the casual and not so hardcore gamers. Now we are actually denied that opportunity. We've got to wait till spring, and I honestly don't know how this is going to affect the sales of both the PS4 and the Xbox One when they launch, because I personally knew a lot of the hardcore that had their hopes pinned on Watch Dogs, and now that hope is gone. So Ubisoft, I understand from a money perspective why you did it. can't say that I really agree with this decision.